Welcome back to Esmou Epchois. I am your host, Veronica Kamel, and in this series of episodes we will be discussing the beautiful hymns of our Coptic Church, which have dated over multiple millennia. Bishoy Soriel will guide us as we venture through the history of our church, discuss its rites, and recognize important figures, along with much more. Alright, the first question I have for you is, what are the different types of melody of our Coptic music?
In our Coptic Church we have plenty of melodies, and each one for their seasons. We'll talk about it in a second, but normally in other music cultures, not the Coptic, you can find an Octoechos, which is basically 8 type based on the Pythagoras and Greek Octoechos of the 4 groups of 2 types. Those 4 groups of 2 types are usually warm and humid, cold and humid, warm and dry, and patient and courageous. So these are usually presented with Greek, Syrian, Byzantine tunes and music. But we have, for example, 8 different types of tunes in the seasons that we chant on the span of the whole year. And in the feast, we chant something very well known as the 7 tunes, which is the 7 tunes of different hymns not particular to the seasons. But the 7 melody tunes that we have on the span of the year for the seasons, we have, for example, we talked about this before, we have the annual melody in 2 different parts, Adam and Watos, which is considered Esmou in Arabic. The second tune we have is the joyful melody for special feasts. This is Il-Farahi. So now we have 3. The fourth one we have is the Kiahk or Kiahk tune, which is during the month before Christmas. The 5th tune that we have is Il-Siyami for fasting periods, Lent, Jonah. The 6th one that we have is Il-Sha'anini, which we usually celebrate during festive occasions like weddings, Palm Sunday. And then you have melodies during Holy Week, Il-Hazaini. Okay, we already mentioned the joyful for the feasts after annual. So the 8th tune that we recognize is the Pentecostal melody.
And that's what they're going to listen to in this episode.
Yes, they'll listen to all these hymns on the span of whatever time of the season we're in, during whatever episode season it's for. But these are the Octoechos, or the seasonal melody types, and their formulae, we're going to call it, because each season has its type. And there's usually different fragments for each type that's chanted. Like we just mentioned, Adam, first Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Watos is usually for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And that's the formula. So the formula is usually perceived based on what day of which month you are in the Coptic year. And then you follow this melody afterwards.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Bishoy.
You're welcome.
A question that came up was, what are the gifts of the Holy Spirit, and do people still receive it to this day?
Well, that's a good question, because last episode we spoke about
the fruits.
The fruits of the Holy Spirit, which shouldn't be mixed up with the gifts of the Holy Spirit. And the gifts of the Holy Spirit are that of which you receive from the Holy Spirit that are indicative of Christ's person when He was on earth, and helps you become in His image, because we are called Christian, and become drawn closer to Him. What are they? We learned that they are wisdom, understanding, counsel or advice, fortitude, knowledge, the gift of knowing, piety, or we can call righteousness, and the fear of the Lord. And some Christians accept that these gifts is a list of specific attributes in any personality, but others understand them merely as the example of the Holy Spirit working through the faithful.
That's why it's split fruits and gifts, like they're two different categories.
Yes, because the more you allow the Holy Spirit to work within you, you being able to reap the fruits of the Holy Spirit, the gifts of the Holy Spirit descend on you, and you exude the nature of these gifts. You exude wisdom, you exude understanding, knowledge, counsel, piety, righteousness, fear of the Lord. All of these things you exude based on the fruits that you reap, like love, joy, happiness, long-suffering. And it goes hand in hand.
Yes. Thank you so much, Epchois.
Sure.
We are going to take a short break and listen to a hymn from Coptic Hymns in English. We will be back shortly.
The Spirit of comfort came down upon the apostles on the feast of Pentecost, and they spoke in many tongues. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. Christ is risen and has ascended. He sent to us the Paraclete. This is he to whom is due glory with his good Father and the Holy Spirit, both now and forever.
Welcome back to Esmou Epchois. The next question I have for you is, what is the role of the Holy Spirit in our lives?
The Holy Spirit and its role in our lives is it working through us and peeling away our sinful characteristics within us and replacing them with godly characteristics. You remember in baptism we receive a white new robe. It gets dirty. How dirty you let it get. This is up to you to decide with the Holy Spirit given to you to consistently clean it and renew it as white as it was when you left the basin of baptism. In Acts chapter 1 verse 8, it mentions that the Holy Spirit empowers Christians to be effective witnesses for Jesus Christ. So, we are called Christians. Do you agree?
Of course.
Well, that's up to the Holy Spirit.
Well, yes.
Yeah. So we may say it with our lips, and it's important for us to ignite the Holy Spirit, for us to be empowered to become worthy of being called Christians, and to be effective witnesses for Jesus Christ, to be able to walk in school or going to work, going and coming, exuding that image of Christian, of Christ, through the Holy Spirit.
Thank you so much, Epchois.
Anytime.
And that concludes this episode of Esmou Epchois. If you have any questions, please send it to the email in the description below. Thank you so much for joining us, and please join us next time.